What is going on, guys? Today we are going to be installing a aftermarket fuel pressure regulator on the R32. So if you watched the last video, you'll know that we have this Aeromotive fuel pressure regulator, and now I have all the parts that we need to install this. So I learned something from a couple people telling me from the last video that I made. So technically I do have the fuel rail that only has one fuel pressure regulator, because the other one that looks identical to this is actually a fuel dampener, which I guess is supposed to not allow the pressure to spike. But it looks just like a fuel pressure regulator, and it's in the back. It's very hard to show you guys. It's right there in the center of your screen. I'm not sure how well you guys can see it, but we're going to take it off anyways because we now have both the fittings we need. We now have two of these, and I'll leave links to these in the description as well as this. And I'll find some links to these fittings. They probably won't be exactly these. I'll try to find some black ones. The only reason I have these is because the ISR fuel pressure regulator that I got for my 240 came with these, and we actually ended up using AN line for that. Eventually this will have AN lines going to it, but for now it's not really that big of a deal, so we're just going to run some regular 5/16 fuel hose. So I'll leave links in the description for all of this for you guys to pick up for yourselves. We have like 12 feet of fuel hose, so really I can mount this anywhere. I just need to figure out where I want it. The most obvious place would be like right here, but I don't know if I want to do it right there. You know, I really don't want to drill into the shock tower if I don't have to, but at the same time it's like, where else am I going to put this? Because it has to be on this side because that's where the fuel rail is. Man, well, it might have to go here. I'm gonna figure out where I want to mount this, and then I will give you guys an update. So I figured out what I want to do. I'm going to use these two holes here, and we're going to make a bracket that bolts into those two holes and then puts the fuel pressure regulator like this. So we're not drilling into the chassis, we're just using two already existing holes. So that makes me happy. So I'll start on getting the fuel pressure regulator bracket. I might even take this bracket off that came with the fuel pressure regulator and just use those two holes on the bottom just to make it a little more simple. And this is what we came up with. We've got our little bracket. It's unpainted right now because I just wanted to do a test fit to see if it'll work. We have plenty of room underneath for the return hose, and we have enough room on the sides for the vacuum and the feed line. So basically what's going to happen is this line right here, this top one, which goes to the fuel pressure regulator, take this fuel pressure regulator off, put one of the ISR fittings on it. So that'll be hooked up like that. I'm probably going to use this vacuum port. I'm probably going to loop this port around to this port, and the back fuel dampener's got to come off, put the other ISR fitting, and then run the fuel hose from there to our fuel pressure regulator. And then the bottom of the fuel pressure regulator is going to go to this line here. So it's really pretty simple. The hardest part is probably going to be taking the fuel dampener off and getting everything finagled back there. Up here is going to be super easy, but I'm going to wait a little longer because the car's been sitting for a little bit, so I think that there's no pressure in the fuel system, but I'm not 100% sure. So I'm going to paint that bracket, and then we are going to then take the hoses off, and hopefully the fuel system is not pressurized. Oh, and I bent the bracket a little bit because I wanted to see if we have the room, and we can, so we're good. We'll take the bracket off and we'll paint it real quick. So we're having a slight change of plans. We're actually going to keep the fuel dampener on because I just can't get it off, and I'm very scared about stripping the screws for it. So later down the line, when we go like front facing intake manifold, then we'll mess with that. But for now, that's not going to affect anything. So instead of messing with back there, we just took the line off here, and we're going to go from this port to our side port on the fuel pressure regulator. And then this hose for the return is going to go on the bottom of the fuel pressure regulator. So that'll make this install a lot quicker. But as you saw, we already have this one set up, good to go. I'm still waiting on the piece to dry. We just painted it black. Once that piece dries, we can mount the fuel pressure regulator, and then we can get the hose going to it, and then we can run our vacuum hose from here all the way over to there. I don't even have vacuum hose. I thought I did, but I do have this -3 AN line, and it's like the perfect size for the ports, so we're going to use that with these clamps and just tighten it super tight. So we have everything hooked up. I will be getting some legit vacuum line because this is just, I don't like how that looks. It looks weird. But other than that, we have our return line going back to the tank, and we have the return line from the fuel rail going to the feed on the fuel pressure regulator, and the feed is going in, so we should be good. So we're going to turn the fuel pump on, and that is going to allow us to set the fuel pressure. So we have it set to 43 PSI when it's at, basically this is how it would be at wide open throttle. It will be a little bit different because we are boosted, so it'll change the fuel pressure. It'll actually rise as we get more boost. But once we turn it on, it should drop down to around 38 PSI. So we'll start the car right now and we'll see if everything works. Hopefully this whole setup will work. So as you saw, we dropped down. We're at about 38 PSI, which is where we want to be. And we're idling good too. We also don't have any fuel leaks, so we are good to go. So as you guys saw, we got the R32 running again. I'm very happy about that. There's so many more parts that we have to install. Like, I have so many parts just chilling over there that I just haven't gotten around to installing yet. So there's a lot of content to come, so stay tuned for that. But that is going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like if you did, comment down below, and then hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.